All right, this is episode 3 of the House of Fly podcast. This week we are on the Missouri again here at the Trout Shop, and we're doing an event called Camp 5. So we kind of started the House of Fly project 5 years ago. This is the 5th meeting, so we call it Camp 5, and we have a bunch of the industry representatives here in Craig right now. So we're taking that opportunity to interview a few of them. And this first one is Kurt Krueger. And I did like as much research as I could about you, which is not much. So I found that you have a couple Instagrams, couldn't find much, but I do know a few things. So I just wanted to go over the few things that I know about you first.
Do so.
Yeah. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you're representative for Sage Fly Rods, Rio Fly Lines, Redington, Squala, Fishpond, and RepYourWater.
Don't forget Tibor reels.
And Tibor reels.
Yeah.
Which I have written here, but I didn't say it.
No worries.
We've had a lot of conversations about flies with you the last couple of years, even though you're not a tyer.
I am not a tyer.
But you like flies.
I love flies.
Yeah. Thirdly, you're a serious angler. I know you spend a lot of time saltwater fishing, but I also noticed a photo on your Instagram of you fishing trout spay here on January 25th. Which indicates to me you're a serious angler.
I love fishing.
Yeah.
I love fly fishing. I love every aspect of it. Really in my heart though, I'm a two-hander guy. It's where I started, frankly. It's not where I started fly fishing, but it's where I really found interest in it and started chasing it all over Alaska, frankly. And I still do a ton of 200 fishing. I just came off the Death Chutes a week ago steelhead fishing with our buddy Idra.
Yeah. That's mostly all the times I've hung out with you. Is that like Red Shed Spay Clave or the Coeur d'Alene one that we did one time? So I'm not done yet. So, okay. You've been supportive of House of Fly, all our events, and we wanted to carve out this time to get to know you better.
I appreciate it.
You like that line?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as you can see, I run under the radar screen. I'm not.
Yeah, I can't find anything about you. You have 2 Instagram accounts, which I thought was interesting. On one of them, your last post was 2021. So you like abandoned one, and then you restarted.
Yes.
Why?
Good question. The original one was 406 Sage Rep, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm clearly a lot more than just Sage. It's not that Sage isn't incredibly important to me personally and business-wise, but I'm more than that. So I wanted something, needed something that was more apropos to my business, like inclusive of everything that I do, which is fly fishing for business.
Yeah, and so you didn't just change, you decided not to just change your name, you're just going to restart completely.
Correct. Correct.
So I thought that was an interesting strategy. On your Instagram, you posted, so we're going to get into like you a little bit because I don't know anything about you. You posted a photo of your grandfather and your great-grandfather when they returned home from World War II on your Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to know a little bit about that photo and if they were fishermen.
No. My mother's side of the family, so my grandfather, my mom's father, and my great-grandfather, they were lumbermen. My great-grandfather sawed the very first log for Weyerhaeuser Lumber Company in Longview, Washington. And that picture, my mom brought that to me last Christmas. I have no photo evidence of my family at my home. So I asked my mom to bring photos, which she did, and that one was in the pile of them, and it was really interesting to me because it just illustrated, I mean, these were men, right? These were loggers, and my grandfather had literally just come home from World War II. Like, he made it. And it, to me, it was poignant. It just showed me we've never had to go through that, and hopefully we never do. Just how tough their lives were, right? And what they did to support a family and make a living, but neither were fishermen. Neither were hunters.
They look like tough dudes in that photo.
Yeah, if you look at the way they hold their hands, like, yeah, they were.
So you said you don't have a lot of knowledge of your family after your direct family?
I mean, I have knowledge of them on my mother's side. I have no idea on my father's side. I have lots of family somewhere with the name Krueger. I just don't know where they are or who they are.
Yeah. So I guess to start from the beginning, how did you get into fishing then?
So that question deserves two answers because it's fishing and hunting. My earliest memories, all I wanted to do was hunt and fish. I have no idea where that came from. My mom has no idea where it came from. I can tell you, we were living in Pacific Grove, Carmel at the time. I was probably in kindergarten or first grade, and I asked for a bow and arrow for Christmas. I got it, and my mom and grandmother were in the kitchen cooking, and my mom said she watched me put a move on a deer in Pacific Grove and shoot an arrow at it at like 6 years old. It's all I can remember ever caring about. Fishing, I think my very first fishing, we had some neighbors, the Houstons. There were two brothers that were teenagers at the time, and they would take me to the Monterey Bay Pier, and we would fish off the pier. As soon as my mom's station wagon was off the pier, they would promptly have me hung over the pier and steal my lunch and everything, but it was a glutton for punishment, so I got to go fishing.
Yeah. So where is that at?
Pacific Grove. It's Monterey Bay.
Okay. And so you started fishing there, and it wasn't a family thing.
No, my father worked in the California State Park System his entire career, but was not a sportsman at all, and no one in my family was. I don't know. It was just in me. It was just
nature.
Yeah.
Okay. So you started fishing and hunting. It was like a natural thing. And when did you start? How did you get into fly fishing?
I was probably in the 7th or 8th grade. Our family did a lot of camping, and my mom bought me a fly rod. And I, just like everybody, I learned the hard way everything. I didn't have anybody to show me even how to put a leader on a fly line at the time. I don't really have a lot of memories of it, specifics. I think we were in Yosemite the first time that I actually caught a trout on a fly rod and about shit myself. I was just blown away that it happened. Mm-hmm. But I went back and forth in fly fishing. I went through a period in my life. I had jet boats over in Washington, and I got really into the Columbia River, Cowlitz River, Klamath River, the whole gear game. And then I got back into fly fishing, frankly, through George Cook.
Yeah, and George Cook is who?
George Cook is my best buddy, and he is also the Farbank rep, Fishpond rep, Tibor in Oregon, Washington, Alaska.
Yeah, we did I know who George Cook is, but just in case people don't.
Yeah.
But I did a podcast like this on the river. It was like 2 hours with George Cook one night.
Yeah.
With like 3 or 4 of us, and we lost it. We don't know where it is.
Oh, no.
It's somewhere.
I believe you can get George to retake it and talk.
Well, if you can find it, I'm sure it's interesting. But I'll tell you a really interesting story. So I was living in Kirkland, Washington at the time, as was he. And I was working for Remington and Leupold. That's how I got started as a rep in the business. I was with Leupold for almost 27 years. I walked into the 24-hour fitness in Kirkland. I sat down on a bike, and there's this guy sitting next to me on the bike reading the newspaper. And I recognized him, and I said, "Hey, do I see you at the sportsman shows? The whole sportsman show circuit?" And of course I did, because he'd always be up on the casting pond throwing these bombs. And he said, "Yeah, I'm George." And I said, "Oh, I'm Kurt." He goes, "Oh, you're the Remington rep." And I was like, "Yeah." And I think 7 months later, we were in Africa together. But that's how we met. Uh-huh. And then consequently, we've done untold fishing and hunting trips all over the place. And George was instrumental in helping me get the job at Farbank.
Mm-hmm. So you grew up in California. At what point did you leave California? You said you had jet boats.
Yeah, so
up
I
in
left
Washington.
California in probably 1986 or 7 and moved to Seattle. And I was in Seattle for a couple of years. I was in medical sales for a bit, and I hated it. And I decided I wanted to be a rep in the hunting game. And I literally was calling. There was no Instagram. I'm going to be 60 this year, pretty quick. So there was no Instagram. There was no, cell phones were just kind of coming online. I mean, we were still using fax machines. So I was literally calling 800 numbers, and I called Remington Arms Company, and they said, we have a group based in Seattle called Mashmet and Associates, and they are the Remington reps and Loophole reps. And so I called him, and I got Bob Mashmet on the phone. And his response to me is like, look, I really don't have a place for any reps right now, but send me some hunting and fishing pictures. I was like, no problem. What's your address? And he gave me the address, and I ran and took a shower, put a suit on, and grabbed a bunch of hunting pictures and a resume. And I went over to their office. Like I was there like in an hour. It was very close to my home. And I got in front of Bob Mashmet. And at the end of the day, he said, I just don't have anything for you. And I said, well, why don't you just let me work in the office? Just find stuff for me to do. And he's like, no problem. I'll pay you $10 an hour and there's a truck. And the start of my career in the outdoor business was, I told myself I was CEO in charge of whatever Bob Mashmet said to do, which would include washing his boat out on Bainbridge. He'd come home from hunting trips and just throw his bag full of shit at me and say, deal with it, clean his guns. Yeah. And then they gave me a territory.
That's a good story.
It was great.
Yeah.
But I worked for $10 an hour for, 5-6 months.
Yeah, but for the right guy.
For the right guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I still talk to Bob a number of times a year. I'm going to go pheasant hunting with him here in a couple of weeks, but he's the guy I can look at. Like he gave me my start. He gave me my chance. Everybody needs a chance, right?
Yeah. So, all right. So you got into the industry. At this point, you're already friends with George Cook, right?
No, I had not met George yet.
Oh, okay.
This was in 1991.
All right.
I don't think I met George until 2001 or so, maybe.
Yeah, and you decided to get in the hunt industry more just because you wanted anything into the outdoor industry, or you were just really passionate about hunting at that point? I know you still are.
Very passionate about hunting.
Yeah. And then when do you think that flipped where you started getting really passionate about fishing or steelhead fishing?
I'll tell you. So Mashmet at one point bought what was going to be an entertainment venue for our customers and factories on Kodiak Island at Larsen Bay. And I got sent up there to help. He bought this house that was essentially a native, we were in a native village, Larsen Bay, and it was just a dilapidated disaster. And I got sent up there to clean it and get it ready to be what is now Kodiak Lodge. And it turned into a full service fly out, saltwater, freshwater, Iakulik and Karlik fishing. And I started fishing with a two-hander on the Karlik for kings and for steelhead in October.
Okay.
And it was just like this epiphany. I mean, ask George. I would put Skagit heads on backwards. I had no idea. But I just learned, and I knew I loved it. I couldn't do it very well, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And on the Karlik in those times, if you could get a fly 15 feet in front of you on the right side of the water, you'd probably catch a king.
You could play.
You'd probably catch a king.
Yeah.
So you really got into fly fishing with a two-hander, not a single hand?
Yeah, I would say I was more drawn to two-handers than I was single-handers at first.
Why was that?
It was more the fishing than it was more the application. Like kings were swing fish, right? Steelhead were swing fish for the most part. And I was just intrigued by them. Just the it's like poetry, right? Like a beautiful spay cast is poetic.
Did you fish a double hander before a single hander?
No, I had fished a single hander.
Oh, sure.
As a
You're
kid
talking about
going
California
back,
and stuff. Yeah.
Really, when I transitioned from gear fishing into fly fishing, that first transition was really two-handers.
Yeah, that was your first big passion, double handers.
Yeah.
And still is. Okay, and then so you get passionate in this lodge in Alaska, and how did you start to get into selling fly fishing stuff?
So, and this is not a slight on the hunting industry. This is just a reality of what happens in all businesses. When President Obama got elected, and keep in mind that I worked for Loophole and I worked for Remington in the heyday. Like SHOT Show in the Loophole booth, it was like a hunting cabin. And anyone within the hunting industry was at the Loophole booth. I was talking to Jim Shockey all the time and hearing his stories and watching what he was doing in the Yukon. And it was amazing. It was the most amazing experience. And I was doing a ton of big game hunting myself. I mean, a ton. Then President Obama got elected, and all of our service people started coming back from Afghanistan, or, the numerous places they were at. And all of a sudden, all the manufacturers were starting to build and promote AR-15 platform guns as hunting rifles. I almost got fired at a Remington sales meeting because they held up one of these.
Especially guns. Remington. Remington was one of the leaders of that.
They bought Bushmaster.
Yeah.
They hold this gun up at a sales meeting and said, this is going to be the new platform for hunting rifles. And this was our CEO, Tommy Milner, who became the CEO.
I remember that SHOT Show. I was there when they launched all that.
So I raised my hand and I said, that gun has no place in Western elk camps and never will. And Bob Mashmit kicked me underneath the table and I almost got fired. But I was passionate about it because I nothing against ARs. It's just not my game, right? And now I'm an archery hunter. I like that game. But so I did it for a number of years, and it got to a point, and I'll use SHOT Show as an example again, where I'd be in the Loophole booth, and instead of talking about hunting, I'm talking to these big buff guys with tattoos and tactical gloves on, and they're going like this with guns. And frankly, I'm kind of scared of AR-15s, right? It's not me. And so I called George. This is really funny now. You have to remember this stuff, right? So I called George and I said, George, I'm going to get out of the hunting business. And if you hear of anything, because I'm a really passionate skier too, like if you hear of anything, would you please let me know? Well, it's like 5 months later, I'm in Norway skiing. And we have a massive time difference between Seattle, Washington and Tromsø, Norway. And he keeps calling my satellite phone at like 3 a.m. Finally, I answer. He's like, Kurtie, you have got to get a resume to Mark Bale today. It's like, really? And 2 years later, I got hired as the Farbank rep.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So how did that start with Farbank?
Ask that a different way.
So like when you first got that job, what did you have to learn? You were a two-hander guy. You had been in the fishing or the gun rep industry.
Yeah, I would say when Farbank hired me, well, number one, I'm the only Farbank rep in the history of the company, with few exceptions. There's more exceptions now, but like George, Ben Hunting, they all worked on Bay Bridge Island in some capacity, right? And then the company would educate them, bring them up through the ranks, and then put them in a territory. So I was one of the first that they ever hired that didn't come from within the company. And the learning curve was steep. I mean, clearly I knew enough about two-handers to be dangerous. I knew enough about single-handers to be dangerous. I learned a lot. I've learned a lot over the last 7 years. And it's been amazing. I'm having more fun in my career than I ever have in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I one of the videos you did with us at the Trout Spay Camp. Well, no, it was not Trout Spay Camp. It was the Coeur d'Alene Spay Fishing event we did. We just did it 1 year.
Yeah.
We asked you what your go-to Montana trout spay would be. Do you remember what you said?
One weight.
Yeah. It was the one weight with a Skagit head.
Scandi.
A Scandi head.
It's my soft hackle weapon.
Do you still fish that setup?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have it here?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that today that weapon would play.
Maybe not today. Maybe this evening.
Great day for
Maybe
it.
this evening.
But yes, I mean, when it comes to trout spay, I very rarely anymore throw a Skagit head and a sink tip off a trout spay rod. I love swinging soft tackles off a 1 or a 2 weight trout spay rod.
Can that 1 weight, can it handle a small streamer, or is it really?
No,
Yeah.
you have to go to the 2.
Yeah. Okay.
My question is, what size of a fish can it handle?
Well, if you think about a switch rod, you know, a 3 switch is a 5 single hander, right? So a 1 switch, call it a 3 weight or a light 4, anything on the Missouri. You know, you've got an 11.5 foot piece of graphite. You can put a lot of pressure on fish with that. They're fine.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd go kingfishing with it.
Yeah. So on the Farbank deal, so Farbank is the parent company for Sage Rio Redington.
Correct.
That company's become one of the largest brands in fly fishing.
Yes.
And what do you think is going on there? So what are you most excited about? What brands do you think are being the most innovative? What are you excited to be selling? I know you guys are going around selling to shops this time of year. What are you most excited about?
It's a great question. When Rio got in the fly business, I had never sold a fly. I had never tied a fly. I was the angler that could walk in a shop like your shop and say, we're here June 15th and I'm going to go fish PMDs. I may not necessarily know the difference between a half done and a hackle stacker, but I knew what I liked and I knew what I would catch fish on. So it was really interesting to start selling flies and understanding all the different variations. And frankly, it's one of my favorite parts of the equation right now is talking flies. And the reason being is we're talking about angling, we're talking about fishing, we're talking about what drives us all to be in this business. It's not that I don't love fly rods, because I do. But fly rods, they're a battle, right? They're a battle for the retailers, they're a battle for the manufacturers, they're a battle for the reps. And we're in a time within fly fishing not dissimilar to archery or skis. They're all so good. You know, like all the events I do, like you, if somebody picks up a rod, a Sage, an Echo, a Redington, or Winston, and they say, I don't like this rod, I don't say anything, but I'm like, how do you know? You can't cast anyways. Like, what are you basing this opinion on? Because there are so many good tools now. It just boils down to what you like.
Yeah, it's a pretty subjective comment.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, I agree. I think the most interesting fly shops have the most interesting fly selections. Like that's a way fly shops can differentiate themselves.
That's a great point, because that's how it's not how I gauge fly shops now, but I definitely notice it now where I didn't. What it was to me was just a bunch of fly bins. But now I go and start surgically looking in the bins, understanding their fishery and what they've got for that. And it's really interesting how many shops are getting custom bugs tied for them that are unique to their shop, and understanding why that bug's in the bin. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on fly rods. I think they're kind of all good. I think Sage rods are good, but we sell Scott, Winston, Loop. I mean, like most of the brands.
Right.
And I think they're all fine. Like when I'm got a bunch of rods in my car or in my truck or in my boat, like whatever one has the right flies on, it's fine for the most part. I mean, there's some rods that don't do the right job for the day, but
yeah.
Because one of the discussions we've had a bunch is I think Farbank was confused on why we were so adamant about telling the stories behind the flies, and the names of the tires. And do you think that when you went back and explained that to them, do you think they understood?
Well, it went away.
Right. We quit getting asked about it. Yeah. So
you know, I understand both sides.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think what you're doing is great. And at the end of the day, you have to differentiate yourself from everyone else, as do they differentiate themselves from you. And Farbank understood that. Contrarily, they're about the brand. And I understand that. But we also have to be able to transact with you and everybody else. And if that's what you want to do and that's what drives your business and works, then I say, get in bed with you on it and whatever.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense that they're about their brand. They should be.
Right.
I think it's interesting because like we've had brands like Idlewild that were probably the most powerful brand in fly fishing, and at the time probably the coolest brand in fly fishing. But the thing that lives on past Idlewild is those tires. So at that time it was like Bob Quigley was a big influence in Idlewild, right?
Right.
And we still have Bob Quigley in our bins through different fly vendors, and those names still live on. So I think telling the story of who designed them, I also think that helps educate like the next group of anglers that have been coming up. And there's a lot of history behind those flies and why they were designed the way they were. And I think that's really neat if Rio can get behind helping us tell that story better.
And we will.
Yeah.
And we, again, not to be redundant, the conversation started and stopped. We're good to go.
Yeah.
But like to me, like Renee Harrop down on the Henry's Fork, right? It's really interesting to me.
Yeah, I don't want to call that fly a solitude CDC fly. You know what I mean?
I'm with
it's
you.
Harrop's.
And because you're doing this now, the fly business has gotten kind of in the gutter, right? Tires bounce around, flies get knocked off. And there's a part of me that wants to see it come back to what it was. Hopefully Rio has some of those flies. I think it makes the business much easier and less confusing for everybody. Like a Quigley fly, like a hackle stacker, right? Yeah, Rio has the hackle stacker, and that's who has it.
Yeah, it was really cool because right after that meeting when you guys brought Patrick Kilby here last time, and we added a bunch of tires of your guys' tires, and we carried their whole collection. Yeah. And Jeff, I don't know how to say his last name, Feshko was one of the tires we added. And then me and Jay showed up in Puerto Rico, and we get into the lodge, and the guy's like, I'm Jeff. And it was Jeff Feshko, and we had just added all of his fly patterns, all of his rooster fish patterns for Baja and stuff. And we tarpon fished and permit fished with him for the whole day. It was pretty cool.
You know what's really interesting about him? He's got the Feshko cheeseburger, and you look at it.
We fished that fly there.
Oh yeah. And it is inarguably the ugliest crab that exists on the planet.
Yeah.
That is a trigger fish weapon. Like this year on Astove, and I went to the Seychelles in February, and I had a pile of them for triggers, and the South African guides, as soon as they got in my box, they were poaching before we even started fishing.
Yeah, we fished that fly. We did not catch a permit on that fly. We tried, threw out a lot of permit,
right? But
Fred did get completely spooled on a parrotfish on that fly.
It really, at the end of the day, that was Feshko tied that, I believe, as a triggerfish fly.
Yeah, it says that right in the catalog.
And it turns out it works.
Yeah. Oh, that was cool. Okay, so I just wanted a quick touch too. So you're also like out of the brands we carry Sage Rio, Redington, and Fishpond from your brands.
Yes.
But you also sell Tibor, Squala, and RepYourWater, right?
Yes.
And out of those brands, Squala is probably the newer one for you.
Correct.
And it's an up and coming apparel brand. And I read an article in Angling Trade, they hired you, Neufeld, and
Scott Harkins
as their national sales team. How's Squala been going? We talked about it a little bit at the Clave.
Yeah, we did. I'm loving it. I've had Kevin Sloan that founded the company, who I've known. We worked for a brand that Kevin was running at Mashmet & Associates 30 years ago. So I've had a long-standing relationship with him. And he had given me some waders, the RS, the Zip Front. I've been wearing them for a few years, and I've been wearing everything, right? But I loved them. What makes me so enthusiastic about Squala, it's new, it's very innovative, and it's small. And small companies, it's easier to deal with, right? We can get stuff done quickly. We're very fluid.
Make quicker decisions. Yeah.
And there's a lot of excitement behind Squala right now. There's a lot of interest. We're the new kid on the block.
Yeah, that's fun to be.
And the gear is very technical. We don't, good or bad, right or wrong, we don't play the price point game and probably never will. It's not part of the plan. It's going to be high-end, very technical, very well thought out angling pieces.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you the one of the funnest things. Eric Neufeld and I have been friends forever. I met Eric for the first time when he was guiding at Alaska West. He consequently ended up being George Cook's Sage rep. So I've known Eric forever. When Eric got his own rep business and I got into the business, we've been competitors. We've always been working against one another. Now we get to work together, which is amazing, right?
Yeah. And then just looking at your Instagram, Garrison Doctor is obviously a very close friend of yours.
Yeah.
RepYourWater.
Yeah.
What's the history with Garrison?
So Garrison hired George probably 8 years ago or so. And Garrison decided he wanted to make a rep change within the Northern Rockies and called me, and I said, yes, absolutely. And Garrison and I have become very good buddies, and we've traveled and fished together. They're great people. It's the epitome of a company that started in a garage, he and his wife, Corinne. Garrison is as passionate about angling as he is about art. He's one of the most rabid fly anglers I've ever fished with, and he's a blast to be with. And he's very knowledgeable. He's got multiple patterns with Umpqua. He's clearly a very talented artist. So we have a blast together.
So when you're going on trips or fishing, is Eric, Garrison, and George Cook three of your closest fishing friends?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my question,
I was just on the dust shoots with
Pedro
2 weeks ago.
So what is something your fishing friends would say about you when it comes to fishing? Like, is there any really clear Krueger hot takes?
I tend to swim a lot.
You fall in the river.
Well known for falling in the river.
Yeah.
I don't really know. That's a great question. I'd have to think on that one for a bit. I mean, back in the day not back in the day, but, we were all a lot wilder, I suppose, 20 years ago than we are now. Some of the stuff that used to go on in Alaska, I'm surprised that we're still alive to have this conversation, frankly.
Yeah.
We made it.
Yeah. And the trip to the shoots went well?
Yeah, we hooked a bunch of steelhead. We were camped at Wagon Blast, river left. So we, arguably one of the best steelhead runs on the planet. And we were camped at it for 3 days. It was amazing.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. It looked pretty good. A lot better than how we did on the Clearwater the week before.
Clearwater was rough.
Yeah, it still is. The fish still haven't moved up.
Right.
I guess you've done a lot of destination angling. That's a huge part of what you love to do, right?
More and more.
Yeah. So for a reasonably good angler on an average budget, what do you think is the perfect fly fishing trip, destination lodge?
Saltwater?
Yeah.
Ascension Bay.
Ascension Bay, that's what you'd send people.
Yeah, because, clearly these trips are getting very expensive, right?
That's why I asked that question. It's like, there's clearly really cool places to go.
Yeah.
But where can people actually go? Normal people.
I would look very closely at Ascension Bay with a budget of $5,000 to $6,000 all in, meaning your airfare and the trip. Because things like the Seychelles, we're talking about $25,000 door to door. And many of the Belize, the Bahamas, $10,000 is just the number or more. Alaska now, like what little good king swing fishing there is left, is $12,000.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's out of touch for the vast majority, and it's sad. but it's just life. I mean, it's with everything. But saltwater specifically, Ascension Bay, then trout. If you wanted to trout fishing, we're sitting in the Mecca. I mean,
yeah, that was my next question. What do you think about the Missouri?
Well, there's a very soft spot in my heart for Craig. This is a hub of it. There's a lot of attention on Craig in the shops here. I think this is there's a case to be made that this is the best dry fly fishing in the world. That's saying a lot, right? In the world. In terms of consistency and quality of fish and the bug variety that's here, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to tell people that, because I agree, but I also think people could come here if they really don't know what they're doing. It's not like there's a bunch of dumb fish.
No.
It is easier to take somebody over to the St. Joe or the Coeur d'Alene or something like that and give them a parachute and they can catch fish,
If somebody wanted to come here as a dry fly angler, pack a lunch. Like this is real, particularly like PMDs. Once they've been going off for 4 or 5 days, these fish get educated very quick. I was amazed this year, Neufeld and I were here for like 5 days and the fish were boat shy.
Yeah.
Like we were having to be very cognizant of the boat and the noise and how far out, like staying legitimately 50 feet off of them. But that's part of the game, right? And it's part of the challenge. It's not just, can you throw a beautiful 55-foot cast and turn over a small fly? It's can you set the boat up appropriately? Can you do everything that you need to do to be successful? And that's hard and it's challenging.
Yeah. And we had low water too. It made it even more challenging. We had awesome PMD hatch though.
With what you're talking about, Kurt, things have become more challenging, in the past 20 years in the Northern Rockies. Right. What are the changes that you've seen on the Missouri and other area waters? Because you live in Bozeman, don't you?
I live in Gallatin Gateway, so I'm in between Bozo and Gallatin Gateway. I'm a little bit out in the country, but that's a great question, man, because this is everything that we do, everything that I'm passionate about: skiing, hunting, fishing. There's more pressure on every resource than ever before, and that pressure is accelerating, and consequently, everything is getting tougher. I have lowered my expectations and really try to enjoy what I'm doing, like steelhead fishing, Sam. I go with the expectations I'm going to have fun. I'm going to throw some bombs with a two-hander, and if I actually get one, I'm going to be very excited. But if I don't walk away disappointed. It's part of the game. And I would encourage everybody to think more like that. If the success of your day is measured on putting 50 fish in a net, I would encourage everyone to look at that differently. Just look at it differently. I'm hopeful, and I'm starting to see little glimmers of it, that dry fly fishing will come back. Like people will really be dry fly fishing more and more. And we would probably see the dry fly fishing get incrementally better because the fish won't have as much pressure on them, but that's a whole nother subject. But even like the Gallatin River at my house, it's gotten really tough to catch fish on a dry fly, as it gets a ton of pressure, as is this river everywhere, right?
Yeah, and the nymphing tactics are so dialed in.
They're so dialed in, and nothing against it. It's just I want to, the way I want to catch a trout. Yes, I love swinging soft tackles for them. I love that grab. It makes my heart race. In trout fishing, I love casting to a head and watching a trout eat a dry fly. I just can't get enough of that. And I can't wait for June here, frankly.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely what should be celebrated here on this river. Is if you go out during a blue wing hatch or a PMD hatch and you raise a big fish, or even there's not many small fish. So you raise a fish over 16 inches and you catch it on a dry, exactly how it's supposed to happen. That's pretty cool. It's not to discount the nymph fishing, because that's a huge part of what people do and the way people get to that point, I think. Right. But I do think that's what should be celebrated more. And honestly, like when me and my friends were younger on this river, like you didn't even tell guides or something if you were catching them nymphing. Now, like that's just the expectation. But we'd been embarrassed to say it back then. It was only about dry flies on this river 20 years ago.
Well, regarding the hatches, what are your favorites here on the Missouri and elsewhere? Which ones can you not miss each year?
PMDs here. It's the essence of the game, right? I mean, when you come here and the PMDs are on and the fish are on them, it's amazing. And plus they're a beautiful bug, right? But it's like at my house on the Gallatin, I live down below the canyon. So prior to the big flood, the flood that wiped out the Yellowstone Bridge and stuff, it also nuked the Gallatin and also nuked Williams Bridge at my house. But prior to that, if you went down there during stoneflies, to see an adult stonefly in the air was kind of unheard of down there. This year, there were piles of them. And I believe that they got washed in the flood down into my zone. There were green and gray drakes down at my house this year. I can't, I mean, a trout smashing a big foam salmon fly is one of my favorites. You know, to me, it's the most overrated hatch on earth, right?
But still cool.
Still super cool. I still go out and fish for them and wonder why they won't come up and eat this beautiful Kenny Morris fluttering stone, but they don't. Right?
But the day that they do, it is the greatest hatch on earth.
and that's if you get one. If you get one the way you wanted to catch it, I'm just like, yeah, that was awesome. That's why I fly fish.
So go ahead. Do you got something?
Yeah, we've been talking about, hatches and flies and talking about how much you are into flies and looking at them and talking about them and everything. And yet I think I saw maybe in Sam's notes, you don't tie?
No.
See, that's really interesting because I don't either. And I get so much criticism for it.
Yeah,
why do you not tie?
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I'm very envious of people that do, particularly that do it well and understand it. To me, it looks like a time suck. In the wintertime, I'm skiing. And when I come home from skiing, I want to sit by the fire and have a nice bourbon and maybe watch a football game. I don't want to sit down and tie a bunch of flies. There could come a time in my life when that changes, but clearly I have access to flies instantly. I also have a number of people that tie custom stuff for me. I'm very particular about king flies and steelhead flies, and I've got guys that tie stuff for me. And so, I could never replicate that. I don't have there's not an artistic component to Kurt Krueger, I don't believe. Maybe, but I've yet to find it.
Yeah, we have a program called American Small Batch Flies, like on our site, and I had called Jonathan Farmer.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, do you know a guy named Kurt Krueger?" I was like, "Yeah." How do you know him? And you get your steelhead flies through him.
I get a lot of flies from him.
Yeah, he's a great tire.
Yeah.
Do you have another question?
Yeah, regarding flies again, I don't know. You get some custom tied flies for yourself, so I don't know if they have specific names, but of the flies that people would recognize, what's your favorite king fly and what's your favorite steelhead fly?
I love Hickman's fish taco for steelhead. My favorite king flies, I don't even know if they have a name, to be quite honest with you. Like when I call Jonathan, the usual conversation is, Jonathan, I'm leaving the 10th of June. I need these by the 1st. I want 7 dozen of this, and then I want 2 dozen Tire's Choice, and Tire's Choice will be some random stuff, but I really don't have a name. I will tell you though, Rio's Animal, I have been whaling on some kings with that the last couple of years.
Whose fly is that?
Kilby's.
Oh, nice. So we probably have it. Okay, so we talked about your background a little bit and stuff, and your fishing and your rep life and fly fishing. What would you say so far you're most proud of?
Not getting married.
Why is that?
I'm being facetious.
Oh, okay.
No,
I thought you were serious. Jeez.
I'm being facetious. But to expand that a little bit, I've been able to do much of what I've been able to do with my life because I didn't get married.
Sure.
And I can't say that started out intentionally, but it morphed into that because we're all the same. We get one chance, get one time to go around, and I'm going to do what I want to do the way I want to do it. So, I don't have a whole lot of responsibility other than me and the dog.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of my career. Going back to Bob Maschmidt, taking that risk at that time in my life, when none of us really know, you're 22 years old, you don't know what you want to do, right, for the most part. Somehow I did. And somehow the stars aligned and I crossed paths with Bob Maschmidt. And I'm very proud for sticking with it because, as you well know, Sam, business is tough. And there's lots of ups and downs. And we had many ups and downs at Maschmidt & Associates. One of them in 2008 and 9 when the market crashed. We lost 60% of our income, of our revenue to the agency in 2 weeks. We lost 2 big lines. And Bob kept his key guys and kept us alive. I stuck with it, some didn't. And I've always been very proud of myself for sticking with it because had I not done that, I probably would not be sitting here with you today.
Yeah. And then what do you think the future looks like for you? Is there something that's on your radar you still want to really accomplish, or places you want to fish that's on your radar?
Yeah.
Start with like work-wise.
Okay, business-wise. When I retire, and I don't know when that's going to be, I turned 60 here in a couple of weeks. I had never really even considered retirement. Clearly I saved for it and am planning for it, but I had never worked with a goal of retiring. I feel very healthy right now. I feel energetic. I am loving my business. I'm having more fun every year. It's getting more challenging every year for all of us, right? But that's part of the excitement of it. So I want to retire from this. I want to, when that day comes, I want to, I'm going to leave in one fell swoop. There's going to come a day when I'm just done with everything. When that day comes, I don't know what I'm going to do after. I'll probably ask you for a job. Can I come run shuttles or something, right? I've got to be busy.
For sure. You'll have a job here.
In terms of personal life, really what I do is I hunt, I fish, I work out, I hunt, fish, and ski. I want to do as much of that as possible until I can't do it.
Yeah.
Skiing of all of them is the roughest. I'm 2 ACL reconstructions deep on one knee.
Yeah.
But I love skiing. I'm going to travel more. I'm going back to Astove, the Seychelles in February. I think the trip that Eric did to Australia was really intriguing, and I think I'll do that in 27. I want to go see the world more. Yeah. I love crossing paths with international anglers. I learn a lot from them and get turned on to new places. I love traveling by myself and going to a lodge and meeting new people and hearing their stories rather than hearing the stuff I've already lived and regurgitated 5,000 times. Hunting, there was a time when I thought I was going to be an international big game hunter where I would do a lot of it, and I'm really not that interested in it anymore. I'm really interested in hunting North American big game with a bow. That's what turns my crank, man. I mean, and here we are. We're in the time of year, like it's on.
Yeah.
What's your favorite species? Elk, moose?
Elk with a bow.
Yeah.
No question. Elk with a bow. That is that's the dry fly eat of archery hunting.
What's the best bull you've ever taken?
The best bull I've taken is in the 380s, not with a bow.
Private,
but in Montana.
Private or public?
Private.
I know that's a typical question, but on the fish side, what is this like the equivalent of elk with a bow on the fishing side? For
Steelhead.
You? Steelhead.
And not because, catching GTs is amazing. Catching permit, catching big tarpon, they're amazing. steelhead, just like you, they get in your blood, right? And there's just something about a fish, an anadromous fish, the challenges that they go through to get where we're out fishing for them and catch one of them. When you think about what that fish has done to get to where he is, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten hard. I mean, steelhead.
Yeah, it's a tricky one for me because the skill level is sort of like, it's more of a mental, how long can I stand here and not catch something?
Right.
Than it is like really difficult to do. Whereas like saltwater fishing can be actually challenging talent-wise.
Yeah.
And everything has to go right, but I feel the same way about a steelhead.
Steelhead.
Well, I don't think they'd be as desirable or mean as much if they didn't have that history, that story of what they go through, like you're talking about. I mean, it's incredible. Everyone's a treasure that gets back here.
They are, and I've been fortunate enough to fish steelhead in some really amazing places like the Sandy River in Alaska. And those fish are all of 4 miles out of the salt, right? And they're far easier to catch than these. They haven't seen a bunch of flies. They're not getting pressured. But they were equally as amazing, right? I get them in my hands, but I've got to tell you, like catching a beautiful fish on the Clearwater is far more rewarding. Like, I guess the best way to say it, like I knew if I stepped in the ditch on the Sandy, I'm catching one. I just knew. Where you step in the Clearwater, maybe I get one, more likely not. But that's
more
awesome.
Likely not. Yeah. And I think it's cool. Like we were taking pictures at the end of the day in the stink hole, and we're like, okay, there's really beautiful places to catch steelhead. And the stink hole is this bottom run before it enters frog water, and there's just a huge paper mill plant, and it smells like sauerkraut. I think that's awesome. That's like one of my favorite things about the Clearwater.
Just like you guys, I would have loved to have seen the Columbia and the Clearwater and the Snake and the Des pre-dams.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like with this
or
stuff?
Here, yeah.
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 Like what was this like before there were dams? I'll bet it was amazing.
Probably a ton of whitefish.
Might have been.
Yeah.
They're native.
Yeah. All right. And then did you have any other?
Well, I wanted to just really quickly touch on the skiing because you're so avid with it. Was that something that you just do for recreation and fun, or were you competitive?
No. I grew up skiing, although my mom kind of skied. My dad didn't at all, but we did family ski vacations up in Tahoe, California. And then I left it for a while and then got really back into it on Crystal Mountain. And then I started heli skiing. I started traveling to ski. I've gone to Switzerland. I've done 5 or 6, 7 years in Norway off a sailboat, climbing and skiing. I love it. And it's a great winter activity. I don't know about you. My appetite to go fishing when it's 12 degrees is fairly minuscule. But my home is 30 minutes from Big Sky. I mean, I can get up in the morning, work for a couple hours, go ski for 3 and back at 2 o'clock. Now, if it wasn't that convenient, I don't know how much I'd be skiing, but I live where I live intentionally.
So I guess, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you think is important about Kurt that our audience should know?
No. I mean, Sam, there's a lot. Just like with all of us. I would have to think about it. But the one thing is, I live with intention. I'm very passionate about the stuff that I do, even though the stuff that I do is very narrow. And I've been accused of being tunnel visioned and selfish, even narcissistic. Some of my friends, particularly California. And my response to that is, not to be redundant, but we get one chance to do this, right? And I didn't get married. I've got the stuff I love to do, and I'm going to do it as much as I can until I'm dead or out of money.
Yeah. Well, I think
hopefully dead comes first.
I think that's a good answer, and I have an interesting closing to rebuttal that thought about you. So, I just first wanted to say, thanks for spending some time talking about this with us.
I'm humbled. I appreciate
think,
the time.
Honestly, we are grateful for the time you've spent with us on the spay claves and the events. Not everybody in the industry supports us this way, so we are very appreciate that a lot. But I thought it was interesting at the spay clave, when we were packing down the spay clave, just to show that Kurt has a kind heart. There was this kid going around selling cookies to go to Bible camp or some camp.
That was a great peanut butter cookie, by the way.
And everybody was ignoring him. And Kurt goes to his truck and buys a whole batch of them from him. So I thought that was a good peer into Kurt Krueger that maybe everybody sees.
I will tell you that we were all that kid, right? Like I was that kid to Bob Mashmet. And what's $5?
Yeah.
It's a beer now.
Yeah.
It's not even a can of Zin, I don't think.
So
I do want to tell you something though. Supporting you and all the other fly shops, it's my job. I mean, it's what the brands that I am fortunate enough to represent, it's what they pay me to do. But I really admire you guys because you're doing all of the right things. You're putting your best foot forward to do more than just make money at retail or book a guide trip. And that's what will keep us all working and making livings for all of us. We're very fortunate to get to do this. I mean, this is a job.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Definitely because we love it.
Correct.
You're talking about earning a living, and so this was something that I've kind of been interested in asking you, and what I've noticed over time. The rep living. What I've noticed about Pacific Northwest reps, much more than any others, is you're all big personalities. Do you think that that's like the George Cook effect, or are reps like that in other industries, such as the medical industry that you were in, and in hunting, or is it unique to fly fishing because you're all big, vocal, I think celebrities almost?
I mean, there's lots of reps, right? I mean, within the hunting business, there's hundreds. There's agencies that have 80 reps. Bob Mashmet looked for personalities. He wanted big personalities. People that could go have a conversation with anyone. And I'm inherently a loner. I really am. Like, I spend the vast majority of my time with myself and the dog, right? But I do love engaging like this, and like this evening over at the lodge and the bar. I love that. And I love that it's part of the fly fishing lifestyle and the rep lifestyle. I mean, we get paid. It's fun. We get to go have fun. And what we're talking about is interesting, right? I mean, if I was to get fired this afternoon and have to go get a real job, I don't even know what I would do. I can't even do Excel.
Shuttle driver.
I could be a shuttle driver.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not proud of that. I use my age as an excuse because there weren't computers when I was in school, but like Excel is a mystery to me. Now, there's going to be those that I work for that are going to see this and go, man, you're fucking Krueger. Like,
that's so true.
But I'll tell you, the fly fishing business, it's the last bastion of what I refer to as the non-corporate sporting life. Because Farbank is a big company, right? In the scheme of things in fly fishing, it's a big company. Orvis is a big company. Sims is a big company. But fly fishing, we're going through it somewhat, but we haven't gone through the big consolidation phase yet. And I'm hopeful that I'm not here for it. Fly shops and fly shop owners and guides are inherently very independent, strong-minded, and I love that, right? I'm very attracted to that. And fly fishing is where I believe that this is like manifest destiny. Like, I was supposed to be here in this day and age. I was probably supposed to be here a long time ago. I just didn't know it existed.
Got one more question, and I'm hoping you'll find this kind of humorous. You brought up the dog, And and you also use the word accused. And now I'm going to put those into one sentence and ask you a question.
Fire away.
Some people have accused you of having the loudest dog in the Northern Rockies. Do you believe that dogs take on their owners' personalities?
Absolutely. It's so funny you say that because, I mean, number one, I love yellow labs. It's all I've ever had. My guy right now, his name is Dude. His father is Tug's brother. Remember Tug, my last dog? I'm not the best dog trainer in the world. I tend to just let them free range, and I don't expect much out of them, and I don't get much, except great friendship and great companionship. Although Tug was a really fantastic pheasant hunting dog. Dude, we shot a bunch of pheasants this weekend. We're going next week on pheasant tour. But it's the accusation is well earned. There's been some Tug instances in Craig that I'm not exactly proud of, but they happened.
What happened?
Caddis Fest.
Yeah.
A number of years ago when it used to be in May, Tug went over to a kid and ate his hot dog right out of his hand and took some hand with it. And my first reaction is, whose goddamn yellow dog is that? Rather than owning it. There's been a lot of stuff. But it's one of the beauties of the fly fishing industry, right? There's lots of characters, and am I one of them? I'd like to think so. But it's one of the things that attracts me to it because there's characters and we're all, we commit a foul here and there, but at the end of the day, it's just who we are. And it gets overlooked. Sam has overlooked some of my indiscretions. So be it.
All right. Well, I think that's a wrap for this episode.
Yeah.
So thanks again for being on the podcast. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I want to wrap this up because I was just thinking about it. The little rough draft of Fishing Aloud, I kind of want to read that in front of Kurt.
Oh, yeah.
For the next episode.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
Thank you very much,
you.
guys.
Yep.
Sincerely, I appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.